Hey, Tom, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. I appreciate you taking the call. And of course, I've been seeing you on Facebook, and we'll let you introduce yourself and all your information in just a moment. But I've been seeing you on Facebook, and of course, a lot of us geeks from that grew up in the late 70s and 80s are kind of NASA freaks, and maybe even further back, probably, and even to this day. But I do see that you're one of those guys that follow SpaceX and other things. And me and Donald's on the line too. Donald, say hello to us.
Hey, bud, what's no good?
What's happening, Don?
But we've been seeing your conversations about some things, and we wanted to call and talk to you about it in just a moment.
Well, Tommy, what about some of your background, man? I mean, like I say, we've been looking at, some of the stuff, man. I mean, what's some of your background involved with your issues that we're talking about tonight?
Well, my background is I joined the Navy right after high school, and that was 92, and I got out in 94 and went to college at Monticello after that, and I got my bachelor's in computer information systems from Monticello, graduated in 98, and not long after that I went to work in Little Rock for Science Applications International Corporation.
What do they do?
They are in the business of farming out people to do various things. My job was tech support for Entergy personnel. When someone that was working for Entergy had a problem with their computer or phone system, they would call me up there in Little Rock, and I would try to talk them through their technical issue.
I got you. I just never heard of the company. I mean, didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead, man.
Oh, that's fine. It's SAIC, and I worked for them for a couple years up there, and that really got me that's when the internet was getting really going good, and I was all into it, and I've just been trying to stay on top of current events and technology for a long time, and I got to paying attention to Elon Musk when he started to show up on the scene, and I've been paying attention to him for quite a while.
But I'll tell you what, man, when you came out here the other day, we were talking about drones and, just technology in general, And I think one of the things, and I had wanted to find out a little more, about your story because we were talking about it. And we were talking about Elon Musk and SpaceX and, just the cool stuff. Because, I think it's really cool. And you were talking about you had an idea that you submitted to SpaceX. And I wanted to know a little about it.
All right. Well, I've been following this guy for a long time. And in 2013, I noticed that I had a feeling that this guy was fitting to build something like a big rocket, and I said so like in 2013, and that's when he announced it. He was like, "We're going to build a really huge spaceship," and so I've been following it since then, and they've made tremendous progress on their Starship over there in Boca Chica. And anyway, I watched the video of Elon. He was saying he was having trouble figuring out the landing legs on the booster on that Starship, and got me to thinking about landing legs on a spaceship. And I routinely throw some ideas at their SpaceX Facebook page, just like I did in 2013. I said, this sucker's building a giant spaceship somewhere. And it turns out this sucker is building a giant spaceship somewhere. Anyway, so I threw some ideas about landing legs at them. I'm like, just put some bunch of 2-inch hydraulic, tractor hydraulic presses around the bottom of the thing. Anyway, I threw some ideas at him, but what got me to thinking about a better idea than landing legs was I watched a TV show about a gun. And this guy visited a 100-year-old French naval cannon on a whim. He was just on vacation, and he visited this old cannon, and this old cannon was water operated. As long as they kept their water reservoir full, they could operate this old, huge, very heavy cannon. And it made me think, you know, if 100 years ago they could use water to cushion the recoil on this cannon, then you can cushion the landing of a spaceship with a similar arrangement. And so instead of cushioning the landing legs on your spaceship, you move that off to your landing pad so you don't have to cushion your landing legs on your spaceship. And I thought eventually that you might want to catch that booster too, because it might fall over. I'm thinking you've got a 160-foot tall, 200-foot tall rocket landing on a cushioned pad, so to speak. I'm not talking about a literally cushioned pad. I'm talking about cushioning the rocket landing.
Shock absorbing.
Shock absorbing the rocket landing instead of. So I said cushion the landing pad, and I said as an afterthought, you might want to catch it too. And this was September 26, 2020. I sent this in a Facebook post to SpaceX, and 3 months later, guess what? Elon Musk said, we're going to cushion the landing pad and catch the booster. Exactly what I said 3 months earlier in a Facebook post to SpaceX after I had watched a video of Elon saying we're having trouble figuring out the landing legs on the spaceship. So I sent them an idea, and they took it, both of them.
Yeah, well, I don't know, man. I mean, was there any kind of, I don't know, interaction between you and the company, or was it just a post, or?
It was, no, I got no response.
Okay.
I had a lot going on in my life at the time. My son was home very sick with cancer, and a month after my Facebook post, he passed away, and, well, I'm just now getting around to doing something about it.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, I understand. I just wasn't for sure whether it was like, because, you know, SpaceX for a while, they were offering X Prize and stuff, you know, because they were wanting people to come up with innovative ideas. I just didn't know if maybe that's what you had applied to, or, you know, just what. That's why I was asking.
It was just, like I said, I've been throwing Facebook posts at them since 2013 or before. But my earliest post that's on record is 2013, and I mean it hasn't been anything but a Facebook post to them, and I've posted several ideas, not just this one,
right?
And but this is kind of a big deal.
Well, I've got a dumb question real quick. What it's a landing pad? I get that that's important, but what happens though if it has to land somewhere besides the pad?
Well, they're going to do that shortly. They're planning a soft water landing off of the coast of Hawaii here in the next few weeks, and it's just literally going to land in the water like as if there's something to land on, and then it'll just float. The spaceship.
I mean, the same one that would land at the landing would do that.
Okay, the ship is in two parts. You got the booster, and then you have the rocket ship.
Okay.
And the booster lands right back where it started from in Boca Chica, and the rocket ship travels on to in this case, Hawaii. And the booster lands back like I recommended to Elon, back on the pad, like you're hanging up an old-fashioned telephone on the hook. And the rocket ship I recommended several different ways to land it at water, because once I started thinking about the spaceship, I didn't stop. So I recommended 3 different ways to land in water, and one of them is it falls out of the sky like a skydiver, and at the last minute it turns its nose up and lands like it, nose up in the air. Well, I recommended you don't nose up, you just nose down, and you just land it in the water like a cork, fishing cork. It'll float.
Yeah.
Another option is to you just nose up and land it in the water like normal, but you're going to mess up your engines because they're going to get wet. But the third option is to land like a seaplane, like the Spruce Goose did. And I can't wait to see. They said they're going to land, they're going to have a soft water landing in Hawaii coming up. And
well, but now, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just wonder which option they're going to use, the Spruce Goose or the cork or
yeah. Well, my question was like, well, there's no oceans on Mars, so I mean, I'm not really sure what a soft water landing would make any difference for Mars, as far as the spaceship goes. Yeah, now I know currently, they're reusable booster rockets. They have shock absorbing legs. I've read the white paper on it because it's really interesting. It uses a lot of the technology that I'm used to dealing with. When I worked as an E&I. Vector control, thrust, laser sensors, lidar, radar, all of this is feeding in to control, thrust and cushioning. And that's how they currently land the new ones, sea landings on the floating barge or, back on the pad. And now my understanding was they were going to base their spaceship kind of on the same design. It was just going to be scaled up, largely. Now, again, I have not been into it as big as you have. I think the last thing I read was probably in 2019, maybe early 2020, really. Since then, I've just kind of watched, the Dragon capsule and a few of the other launches and just kind of kept up with it here and there. But, maybe they're planning on going somewhere else, too.
Well, that's just, Earth. The U.S. military is going to buy these things to ship military and troops anywhere in the world in like 30 minutes. It can fly. It's going to fly from Boca Chica to Texas in like 30 minutes, and it's usually an 8-hour flight. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I know they've been experimenting with, the suborbital flights, going almost straight up, doing a huge parabolic.
This can replace airplanes
completely. Well, no, that's what I meant. Yeah, it's a suborbital flight. You actually almost reach orbit before you start coming back down. And you're right. It was something to replace airplanes. That was the next step. Boeing and some of them was doing to replace the 747s and the supersonics and all them.
Well, to answer your question about no oceans on Mars, you're going to have to build your catch tower on Mars if you're going to catch your spaceships, and you're going to have to use legs, of course, until you build your catching structure on Mars.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I understand. You will have to have the initial landing, which is going to have to be free-form, in some shape, form, or fashion, unless they come up with, a deployable module that they can ship, drop from orbit, it'll land, survive the crash, open up, and create a pad, something like that nature. But you're right. They will have to land using conventional technology that, they've been using. I know it's supposed to be bigger and, a little better. But now the biggest advantage is supposedly Now, and I don't know if they're actually doing it, but there was talk of it. Some of the test rockets that he was going to actually be using to get to Mars, he was going to go ahead and start sending some barge-type modules, supply capsules, to go ahead and insert Mars orbit so that whenever they get there, they can land and, you know, basically control, crash what they need to build the reception point for future supplies.
Well, they're building these spaceships. They're 30 foot around and 160 foot tall, and you've got half of that available for cargo. So let's say 80 foot tall, 30 foot around. It's a silo. It's a 30 foot around, 80 foot tall silo. And you can fill it up, and you land one of these on Mars automatically, and it is a self-sustained habitat. You just unlock the door and walk in it. It's ready to go. It's going to have everything you'll need to live for a period of time on Mars. And there's going to be several of them, not just one or two. We're talking fleets.
Yeah, eventually. Yeah, you're right. I'm just meaning, you know, the pioneer trip. You know, the first trip. You know, so they got to figure everything out. So, you know, you got to do it the first time, whether it's right or wrong, the first time. So you're going to have one ship going. And, you know, of course, it's how many, 6 months, 3 months trip, something like that? If not a little longer,
it's a 6 to 8 month trip to Mars one way.
Right. You know, and I know me personally, a half of a silo of supplies, and it's 6 months away, and you're talking about lead time, I would kind of understand, and let's go ahead and send a couple full silos and just let them orbit a little bit till we get there. You know, to me, it's good planning. I understand what you're saying. Go ahead, Brad. I'm sorry.
They're going to be ready to go.
I got a quick question, and we can come back to that, and I think that's about a thing, but it's interesting what you guys have already said, but you know, talking about, number one, you know, the suborbital flights, the trips to Mars, the rotating around Mars, and the getting down to the surface of Mars. What kind of rockets are we using to do that? Is that, who's building those? Is that Aerojet type rockets, or what's controlling these SpaceX machines? Are there different ones for different type scenarios?
They build their own rocket engines. I think they're called Raptor engines. SpaceX has
Raptor 6 is that. I think they're called Raptor 6 or something like that.
Yeah,
it's actually based on an old Russian design. It's oxygen.
It's methane.
Liquid oxygen and methane.
Liquid oxygen, and they super chill it. So it's really, really cold. That way you can carry more of it. And
it's supercritical oxygen, I think is what they call it.
There's going to be 32 of these rocket engines on the booster, and each one pushes 200 tons. So there's 32 times 200 tons worth of push.
64,000 or 64.
It's twice as powerful as the Saturn V that took it to the moon.
But now I would think they
powerful.
were using something different than that. What about now? Okay, so the technology is not quite what I thought it was, but I guess they reworked it. But now, is that same thing used just in thrust to get down to the surface of Mars, or is it something else that does that?
It's just raw engine power on these rocket engines. They power down just like they power up. Now you got to remember that Mars is 1/3 the size, or 3/4 the size of Earth. So it's not as hard to land on Mars as it is to land on Earth, because Earth is bigger and it just pulls harder. However, there is 1% atmosphere on Mars, which is problematic. but nothing massive rocket engines, and Elon Musk can't handle.
Yeah, well, I think what he was asking was, are they going to use the same technology to launch the rocket as they're going to land the rocket? And the answer is yes. It's going to be the same engines, thrust engines that send the thruster up and return it, and the same thing with the module. Now, in space control and stuff, they have been looking at several other things. You're going to use your initial thrust and stuff to get it going, and then they've talked about developing, the ion engine using, compressed electron to plasma type, electron jet for maneuvering, and some kind of an ion engine they've recently been developing. I don't know how true that part of it is, but now the plasma thrusters are a real thing. The Chinese are using them on their new space station. I saw an article on it the other day.
And it works, huh?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, I tell you what, I want to understand, you kind of told us a real a finger clip of what you're suggesting, how it fit into it. But if you would, I want you guys to help me understand the takeoff, what all is there in terms of the rocket ship. You talked about a booster and a ship and a capsule. What else? Well, I want to know all those parts. I want to know about the takeoff, what all burns off, and then the part landing. And then how your part fits into whatever happens next, whether it's the landing or whatever it is you're talking about. So just kind of spend a little bit of time, and you Donald, if you want to jump in and do it too, I've got time. I'm not going to brush anybody. I just want to hear about a takeoff.
Okay. All right.
And how your part fits into it.
Okay. They're building an assembly tower right now in Boca Chica. It's a very tall tower, and its job is to take the Starship vehicle, which itself is, like I said, 160 foot tall, and this big, huge tower is going to pick it up and stack it on top of another 200 foot tall rocket. So you basically have two rockets. You got your spaceship that sits on top of the vehicle that puts it into space. And the reason you do that is because when you burn up all your fuel to get to space, and then you wouldn't have any fuel to go anywhere. So you got to have another vehicle that pushes your spaceship into space, and that vehicle comes right back down immediately and lands right where it took off from to be refilled and reused with another rocket ship set on top of it. And this is supposed to happen 3 times a day for the same booster. And whenever that booster comes down...
Wow, I did not know that. Donald, do you have any questions right now?
Oh, no. I mean, a few clarifying details. History more than anything is originally rockets came in stages, first stage, second stage, third stage. And as it goes up, it's just as Tommy says, you're using your large fuel to get you out of the gravity well, off the planet. And once you get there, as each stage, the old way, it dropped off chunks. The old videos of the piece falling off and burning up as it dries away. Well, that's a stage of a rocket. Well, the same thing or falling back into the atmosphere. What they're doing here, Elon Musk and them have developed a reusable cargo rocket, basically. They're saving millions of dollars by being able to basically reuse all the normal stuff. They may have to service the engine, replace the engine. They may have to do stuff, but just think about the money savings and time of the build. So they're using these reusable rockets with the payload on top. And they are launching it once that detached kit comes back down. And this is some of where he's talking about. Part of it is the landing of this reusable booster. But he's also talking about once that ship, that piece that separated from this booster, gets to Mars, it's got to land. And that was,
and take off again.
Right. Okay, now then, Tommy, please, how that associates with your ideas, you'll have to go deeper into that. But I just want to kind of clarify for anybody that's wondering.
Yeah, and I appreciate that because it just adds more flavor to it. So now, Tommy, go ahead with where you left off and just kind of build, or you can go back over again.
Okay.
Because people understand by hearing it twice.
Well, the SpaceX has military contracts, government contracts with their Falcon 9 rocket, which they developed on their own, and they have been sending cargo to the space station. They've been sending people to the space station, and the U.S. military has been sending satellites into space, which is reusable Falcon 9, and the military just recently started using the let's call them recycled rockets. They've already been used once, and so the U.S. military has been using these reusable rockets. And that's Falcon 9. The Starship program is going to replace the Falcon 9, and just imagine going from a Volkswagen Beetle size cargo to a 55-foot long tractor trailers at least in cargo to space for $2 million a pop. It's ridiculous.
Now, so compare this change, and I don't know. You guys have to help me because I'm kind of dumb. I know we had like the Apollo type ships compared to the space shuttle. Now, so like this
right.
is kind of the same kind of a demarcation, or
okay.
What?
When we sent people to the moon in the Saturn V, this 300-foot tall rocket, all you got back was a 3-man crew in this tiny little bell. That's all you got back. Everything else was thrown away. This Starship is a reusable Saturn V with twice the power. It's ridiculous. And you get everything back. You reuse it. It's not use once and throw away. So just imagine shipping 2 fully loaded tractor trailer trucks into space at will, and presumably eventually returning the same amount of cargo from Mars and catching it like I suggested.
Now, Brad, I mean, it's a little bit of both technologies. You know, the Saturn V was, of course, you know, the largest rocket built. I mean, it was huge. And you're right. They had all of that mass for a little bitty squirt, you know, a little bitty capsule. You know, you see it in the Smithsonian and everything. And then, of course, the space shuttle come along. So you ended up with a reusable space vehicle, solid booster rockets, you know, and then a big tank to hold all the fuel. This Elon or SpaceX, they kind of merged the both. They made a space vehicle that's reusable, which is the spaceship that they're going to use, and the launch vehicle, which is just a reusable launch vehicle. So it's kind of a merge of both. I mean, it's a little bit of both of them.
Yeah,
you know,
that makes so much sense. I like the way you. So I guess it is. Okay.
Yeah.
So we still hadn't landed Tommy's ship yet, but we're learning about stuff I'm learning about along the way, and I appreciate you guys' patience with me for sure.
Right. Well, you know, and like you was talking about with the Falcon 9s, that's the one it's a pretty mature technology. You know, but you know, it is a payload delivery vehicle. Satellites, the capsule, that latest Dragon capsule they sent up to the space station, and you know they've done it once or twice. I mean, that kind of thing. And yes, he's also right. The new one they're talking about is going to be much, much larger. Kind of the same technology, and you know that kind of thing. And they are using lots of them. All of that new, you know, Musk is. Me and you talked about it. That the new internet satellite that Musk is doing. Yeah. What was the name of that? I don't remember.
Starlink, that's it. Well, you know, they've been launching hundreds of those satellites. Hundreds of them. And they've been launching them on the Falcon 9, and they're launching, like, I want to say 60 of these satellites at a time, which is remarkable. However, they've been launching them for a year now, and they've got, like, 2,000 of these, almost 2,000 of these satellites around Earth. And it's taken them let's say 2 years to do that, right? They can do it all with one SpaceX Starship launch instead of hundreds of 60 satellites at a time. You know what I'm saying? You launch 60 100 times to get 1,800 satellites. You can launch them all at once on a Starship, and you know what I'm saying?
Oh, no, and I absolutely agree. But I mean, but you also got to think about the difference here. Capitalism. The Starship, the one going to Mars, it ain't ready yet. It ain't there. They can't use it yet. There's plenty of Falcon 9s, and he needs to make money on this Starlink deal. He's bought the satellites. He's got to get them into space. I actually saw an article the other day, like people in Nevada and in Southern California stuff was taking pictures thinking UFOs because of this string of pearls line of lights that they were seeing. And that's what it was. It was SpaceX launching so many satellites so fast, so quick together that it was a string of pearls as they were moving into orbit. You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They released 60 at a time, and they're, of course, they're all together, and they each have to spread out and slowly over several days boost their orbit. And that string of pearls quickly goes away.
Oh, yeah, no, I know. It was just an example of, like, they were launching so many that people were able to see them from Earth and think, no, that's weird. And because we don't normally ever launch that many at one time. Normally, you know, there'll be 5, 6 a day, you know, around the world. I mean, he's launching, you know, hundreds of these things. So, you know, but okay, we've veered off track a little bit. Let's get back to your idea of the landing and how it incorporates together now that my buddy Barfield understands.
Well, we're up in the sky. We're up in the sky right now. And
all right.
All right. Now what happens? And how does your part fit into it?
I don't know. I don't want to find out.
That guy run a telephone.
My part was catching the booster. So the booster has pushed the spaceship up, and the booster comes back. The booster lands like you're hanging up an old wall telephone, you know, back on the hook. The spaceship lands on its own propulsion like your rocket, 1010 rocket. It just lands like on a pad. However, Elon has said, you know, we might catch that too. So I envisioned my idea was to catch the booster, but there's no reason you can't catch the Starship as well.
Okay, I want to know how we catch this booster. You know, you mentioned it's just as easy as hanging up a telephone, but
yeah,
I mean, I remember doing that, and that's kind of easy. So how do they get that? How far does it go up, and then how does it get back into that hole?
Well, they can put this thing anywhere they want it with pretty good precision, and so they fly it back to the launch pad. They have these grid fins at the top which steers it, and these grid fins are like your arms. Like if you've ever tried to pick someone up, you pick them up by the armpits, right?
Yes.
Okay, well, the armpits are these fins on this thing, and they are what is being caught. So the booster literally flies itself, and it has the ability to hover. Now, this is a complex rocket with 32 engines on it, and it's going to hover, and it will maneuver itself where it needs to just rest on this giant robot that catches it like a damn robot.
Now, you sound to me like you're talking about a drone.
These machines are communicating with each other. They know exactly where they are and how much they weigh and how much they have to resist when it lands. Also, I suggested.
Okay, so we go ahead, Don. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I was just going. I mean, yeah, but I mean, that's still something far in the future. I mean,
no,
you know, well, even if they sent 30 of them, you still got to get enough people down to the planet without the platform, the tower, the catching, any of that on the planet to build the said catching device. So you've got to land how many busloads of these?
Well, the current legs that they're currently using to test these things are disposable. They just flip out on landing, and they stiff arm the landing, and they crush. They got holes in them. They're designed to crush like your barricade on a road, on a bridge. You know, it crushes whenever they land.
Yeah, they're breakaway shock absorbers.
That's a one-use thing. And then when you take off and land on Earth, you may have to replace them after you land on Mars. But like I said, Mars doesn't have as much pull as Earth does.
Well, no, I understand that, but I think you're missing what I'm asking is all right, so 32 of these things arrive at Mars.
That's the number of engines on each one.
Oh, okay. Well, how many of the spaceships are going to Mars the first time is what I guess. It's supposed to be one, right?
No, I have no idea.
Well, at least one.
The answer is as many as it takes.
Okay, but at least one will go.
Well, yeah.
Okay, that's what I'm asking. And when it gets there, there's no platform, there's no tower, there's nothing.
Right. Just
okay,
it's a rocky desert.
Right, and they have to land without the tower and the catcher and all this.
Yeah, they just land.
Okay.
They just fire up the engines and land.
Okay. Well, then why would they ever need the tower and the catcher? Because they've already landed. And if they can land, then more can land. And then if more can land, you've got to get enough people landed the old way to get the tower built. I'm just a little confused.
The catching mechanism is for Earth, for the booster. The booster doesn't go.
Oh, okay. See, you've been saying spaceship. See, they're interchangeable. The spaceship goes to Mars. The booster comes to Earth.
Uh-huh.
So you're saying they're landing this spaceship. And I'm like, the spaceship is at Mars. There's nothing there.
Yeah. There's going to be something there.
Yeah.
There's going to be something there.
Okay, now, you're talking about landing the booster that got the spaceship into orbit. Okay.
The spaceship lands with legs on Mars.
Hey, real quick.
Go ahead.
1 second. Ask me this: Can that ship take off again once it lands, or is it there forever?
It can definitely take off again as long as it has fuel. It can come and go as many times as until it breaks, and it's designed.
It is designed to do that. Yeah, it's designed to be able to be reusable.
And here's a bonus point: it can land not only on Mars, but any planet in the solar system that you can physically land on. And that includes moons, such as the moons of Jupiter and Saturn.
Yeah, at least that was the idea with the design. Yeah.
I mean, is there a challenge on having enough fuel to make it to, say, Jupiter? With it, was it Europa or Iopa or what is it?
The reason they chose methane is because you can literally suck that out of holes on some moons. Well,
actually, the reason they chose methane is because you get a better thrust ratio for the weight. Hydrogen is being discussed used in the space ship portion of it, and it does go back to what you're talking about, though. They can harvest hydrogen. They can harvest it in. Yeah, but you can harvest hydrogen in space. It's free. It costs nothing. And once you're in space, you're not really worried about your thrust to volume ratio because there's plentiful amounts.
I think you're mistaken on that.
Well, and it could be. I'm just saying that was some of the reading I did about it. But you're right. Whether it's methane,
whether it's methane on Mars.
Well, they can make hydrogen on Earth and Mars and everywhere. I mean, they can do it both ways. But my point was, yes, they are. I know they're using methane. You're right. I just thought they were using something different in the spaceship. But it could be methane as well.
It's methane and liquid oxygen, and you can make both of them out of frozen ice, which there's frozen ice on Mars. And, of course, we need water, and the spaceship needs water, and everything needs water. But these things, we're going to have hundreds of spaceships on Mars in the next 10 years. We're going to be writing letters to Mars.
Yeah. Well,
we will.
You're right. We'll have a lot of them. But to answer Brad's question, Brad, their idea is Mars is going to be the gas station. That's going to be the stop point to reach that's going to be the leapfrog to the next planet.
Right. And stop there and refuel.
Right. They'll be able to stop at Mars because the plan is to put a collector in space that a ship would be able to come up to, park, and unload reactor, but whether it be, methane, hydrogen, whatever it is. That's the kind of the idea, but, y'all, I have to say, we're all going to be long damn dead before that shit happens.
I don't think so. Not the way he's going, man.
Dude, if you see a hydrogen collector tank in orbit around Mars before we're dead.
No, man, you make it on the surface. They're going.
Well, why would you do that? Why would you do that? Hell, you're going to waste more fuel having to land to turn around and escape the gravity well, even if it's less than Earth, than if you just got it in space.
Yeah. It's much easier to get off of Mars than it is off of Earth.
Yeah, but why would you ever go down if you don't have to? I just stop the space and go on.
Right. Well, that ain't no fun. You want to sightsee.
Hell no, not if I'm going to another planet. Remember where you were talking about using it for a gas station?
Well, we can do the same thing on the moon. I mean, the moon is a lot closer.
Well,
that's
something else
on Mars.
That's something else they had discussed too. Was a base on the moon. Basically, you get to orbit, you go to the moon, and you refuel, and then you can leave the moon going out.
But I'm just impressed with the size of this thing. I mean, you literally you park it on the moon or Mars, and bam, it's your habitat. No, you don't have to build your habitat. You're in it.
Right.
Of course, anything else extra you got to build. But these things, there's going to be cyber trucks on Mars. I mean, they're designed to work on the Mars and the moon. There's going to be fully operating electrical vehicles for 4 people on these planets.
Oh yeah. Eventually, there'll be all kinds of stuff we can barely even imagine. Eventually.
Yeah. I mean, that may be a while off, but now I want to get her back down. I want to know now that we went all the way out there to Jupiter, I believe here. I want to get us back down to Earth for just a second because we're getting close to 49 minutes. And this is a very interesting conversation. I understand that. I'd like to go on forever, but I'd like to get to land it real quick. Then I got a couple of follow-up questions for you. I'm sure Donald does as well. So, Landis, and keep that part. Tell us again. Very concise, kind of like what you feel like you did. You contributed to SpaceX.
Yes, I suggested you cushion the landing pad and catch the booster. That's 2 suggestions, right? And it is after I watched a video of Elon saying we're having trouble with the legs on this thing. And so it made me start thinking about it, and I just happened to watch the gun show of all things show, and it made me think about how to catch a Starship booster from space. Me, Tommy Thompson, suggested you catch it, and guess what? 3 months later, Elon Musk it came out and said, we're going to cushion the landing pad and catch it.
Do you think he saw your post? I mean, do you realistically think that Elon Musk or one of his people saw that post and made that change?
I firmly believe that. This idea came to me while I was thinking about the Starship booster and how to land it without crushing the legs. I eventually came up with the idea that you don't need legs. And Elon has always said the greatest part, the best part is no part. And that fits swimmingly with his philosophy. The best landing legs is no landing legs. And that's was my suggestion to them 3 months before they said we're going to do what I suggested. And I sent it to their Facebook post, and it was a pending post. It never was published publicly. It was pending. Which means they were holding it.
Yeah. They were moderating it, so nobody saw it. Okay, but you got a screenshot of it, though, don't you?
Yeah. It's my post.
Okay, so if you had to deliver a message to Elon Musk, and you knew that he would hear this, or one of his people would hear it, what would you want them to know? I mean, what would you say to them? I mean, is being a part of it?
I want to know who came up with the idea or says that they came up with the idea, because I came up with the idea. I want to know, there's no name. It's SpaceX that came up with the idea. I mean, I came up with the idea. I want a response is all I want. I want an answer. I think I'm the one that gave them the idea. And if someone else gave someone, I'm a member of the Mars Society. I'll make this short. It's a Facebook thing. It's just the Mars Society. And I didn't get a response after posting my idea to Facebook. And I'm like, that's pretty, I just had a feeling though, I'm like, this is a really good idea. And so I wanted to get it out there. And so I posted it to the Mars Society as well, which is just it's a closed group, you have to join it. And after I posted the idea to the Mars Society, a few days later or a time period later, I don't know the time, someone messaged me, and they were from the Mars Society, I think, and they said, how did you come up with this idea? And I told them, just like I'm telling you guys, I was watching a gun show about a cannon. And he's, okay, thanks. You should never tell anybody that, sucker. And then he deleted the message. So I think someone stole my idea as their own.
Well, and there's the big rub, hey, just pretending to be, I'm somebody from SpaceX that has heard that you've got a problem, and I call you up. And I ask and say, well, I understand you have a problem. Do you have any documented proof of the time you came up with those ideas? Do you have any drawings, documentation to show that, other than just, well, catch it, that you had an idea? Because anybody can have an idea of catch it. It's, it goes back to design. Now, I'm just saying, if I was a SpaceX person and I wanted to actually address your issue, I'm going to be asking, well, how can you prove to me you came up with this? Just because we released it 3 months after you happened to say something don't mean we can't prove that we came up with it 6 years ago and just now did it. So how would you prove if they called you and
all
said,
I have is my Facebook post. I mean, I have a screenshot of it, and I also have a screenshot of the link to that post. So it's what you call metadata.
Right.
And it's just the link to the, and I have a screenshot of my post that says September 26, 2020. I said, you might Well, let me look it up real quick so I get it right.
Well, I guess what I'm getting at is I read the post, and I agree with you. I mean, and I'm not trying to discount your idea in any shape, form, or fashion, but if I was going to try to, seek redress for someone stealing my idea, some of the first questions going to be asked is, well, how do we know, just because you posted it on the date, how do you know you didn't hear that somewhere else, forget about it, and it surface up, and then you pop it back out? Because, you can't patent an idea. There are ways to protect ideas. So, I mean, I'm just saying,
right.
How would you seek to redress it, I guess?
Well, the first public mention of this idea was in December by Elon Musk. Period.
Right. No, but we don't know what may have been said, in the company. I mean, again, I'm just playing devil's advocate.
I totally understand. But look, this has a date on it. This post says September 26, 2020. If they have a office memo before that talks about their idea, that is their proof that they came up with the idea first. This is my proof as far as it's all I have to go on.
Right, yeah.
Hold on. Have you ever done a patent search, to go look and see if something, who listed that and what the date might be or anything like that?
Well, I know it wasn't me.
Well, I mean, it's just, I don't know if your idea was stolen if someone already had it, and that's why I'm just saying is if you wanted to, get them to say, well, hey, we came up with it. Well, I guess how would you prove it? That's all I want. If you wanted them to admit it, man.
Yeah. If someone gave them the idea, and they took it, and that was after September 26, 2020, then they got it from me.
Right, but we don't know if they got it after that or not. Like you say, there's,
that. Well, there's another component here too, is that does it matter that someone else got it and gave it to them because you put it out in public? I mean, that's my next question.
Yep, that's true as well.
I'm not again.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just trying to. I mean, I just answer the question.
Since I haven't heard from them, I have to assume that someone at Mars Society took my idea and then we're in a position to get it to him because I'm not.
Yeah.
My other thing that I think about is there's landing legs and keywords. There's Starship. There's keywords in that post of mine, and if you were to run a search for landing legs Starship booster, you're going to find my post. And if you were looking for an answer to say how to catch a Starship booster, then you would find it by my post.
Let me ask you this question.
I can't prove. I mean,
I understand. So, but you've kind of given your message that you would say to Elon, but let me ask you this: Are you seeking recognition? Are you seeking money? Are you both? Are you? What's your? Are you? Tell me.
I don't want someone else claiming to have come up with my idea. This is my idea. I came up with it on this couch right here in my living room, and I sent it to SpaceX, and they are using my two ideas, not just one. It's cushion the landing pad and catch it. It's two ideas.
Right, but I mean, I guess I'm trying to, if you could prove it was yours, I completely understand. And you believe it, and I'm with you. I believe you. I have no problem with it. I just don't know how you would ever get, recognition that someone's using your idea without being able to say, well, I thought of this and this and this and this, and you know what I'm saying?
Hey, unless they want to come forward, they're welcome to
True.
bastard that they are to come forward and admit it and give this man the credit for.
And that's true. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with pursuing it.
I tell them they're here because they probably stole it from you.
I'm trying to pursue it, but I don't have it's hard. Like I said, it's my idea, and it's one of those game-changing ideas that changes humanity. It's not like, oh, this dude invented a new popsicle. We're talking about
Look here.
catching a Starship booster from outer space.
I got you, and I like your comedy, but look here, man. If we put the right keywords, and you say they Google a lot, and they Google the right words, and they're going to hear this conversation. I want to know what you want to tell them about it. I mean, what you want a fair shake? Would you like to compare the dates on the patent? I mean, you should. I think you should pursue this, but you need SpaceX to help you, man.
I'm just trying to get a response from these guys. I've written SpaceX letters, and I have gotten nothing in return. And
so you would be okay with if they said no, we came over that way before that. That would,
yeah, definitely. I mean, I just don't want someone else to say this is my idea, because it is my idea.
But if they send you, that's what I'm saying. If you contact them and say it, and they go, no, it was ours, would you pursue it further, I guess is what I'm asking. And, if they said, no, we came up with that, if they just said, no, we did. Well, okay, well.
You know what?
Now what?
I'm not out any money giving them this idea.
I know.
I'm very, very proud that I have at least came up with the same idea as Elon Musk.
Oh, no doubt, man. I'm not knocking the idea in any shape, form, or fashion. I just wonder, if they could hear it, and if they came back, would they say, no, we came up with it, that would be all right. Well, nobody stole my idea, and you would be okay with it. I know you're not being out of shape about it or nothing, because like you say, you're not out thing, but you would be nice to know that, that.
I'm in no position for a prolonged legal battle against SpaceX or Elon Musk, and I don't want to have one. No. I want.
If they use your idea, you want to be recognized for having the idea.
That is my idea, and it's two ideas in one, and it's very specific.
I got you. I'm with you, man.
So, what's the headline of this podcast going to be? Elon Musk, SpaceX, steel rocket ship landing idea from Arkansas man.
the Dogecoin Bitcoin killer.
That's up to you, man. How about borrowed? Borrowed the idea.
Yeah, they just hadn't started paying payments yet, huh? Hey,
I want one of those Starships for my own personal use.
Hey, I would love to, well, now, since we covered this, let's get to the BS side of it.
Hey, where would you go with your Starship?
Go ahead, Brad. Hold on. What you got, Brad?
Where would I go? Oh, my goodness. Where would I go with my Starship? Well, I'm going to tell you right now, I know one thing. I probably wouldn't want to go anywhere in it at first, because I'd be scared, if you can imagine. But,
you think like getting on an airplane?
Yeah, I know it. I'm just trying to think. How far can I go? That's the question.
You got to stay in the solar system. You can go to Pluto, but I don't recommend it.
Am I flying, or am I just riding, going over the ride?
It's like a yacht. It's a pleasure yacht. Just picture you're on a yacht. Yeah. You can't leave the yacht.
Hey, man.
Is there a happy ending involved?
Yeah, I like happy ending.
You're the captain. You get to tell it where to go.
What I want to do, since I know the ramifications, I'd want to go through the whole damn thing. Just kind of look at every planet.
A little sightseeing tour.
I want to go on a tour.
That's a good one. Just make a block around Jupiter and come back.
Yeah, that's what I do. Yeah.
Mars is closer to Jupiter than us. You're already halfway there.
Well, I tell you, Jupiter must be spectacular to see, as big as it is. It's just as you get close to it, there's no tip. I don't know.
Yeah, there's like 60 moons.
Yeah.
But the thing about Jupiter is just we don't really comprehend the size. I mean, if you think about how many Earths could fit in Jupiter, but to me, it's that raw power of the speeds of those hurricanes and stuff down on that planet is just phenomenal. They're mind blowing.
Yeah.
And it's just another day in the neighborhood for Jupiter.
Hey, there's that one storm that's been going on for I don't know how long. Apparently, I don't know if anybody knows the answer to that. That one storm that's so prevalent, that big one, it's like the size of Earth.
Yeah.
Is that on Saturn or Jupiter?
It's the dot. It's the dot on Jupiter. Yeah. It's a huge storm. It makes that big red dot there. Oh yeah, hell. It's probably been going on about the time it formed, and it'll be going when we're just burn up dust, whether the COVID or some of the other stuff gets us, or a meteor, or probably aliens. Aliens are big these days. So
Yep.
Yeah.
But
Tommy, I meant to tell you, dude. Huh?
What's up?
Oh, I've ordered me a 3D printer.
No shit.
Yeah.
Somebody offered me a used one yesterday, and they said it needed some work, and I lowballed them, and they passed on it. But anyway, that's cool. I've been thinking about a 3D printer.
Yeah, I got one. I got it on the Amazon Daily Deal stuff. It's a Ender 3D Pro, and it'll do the 3D printing, but it's got a laser to do laser etching as well.
Oh, that's cool as shit.
And I bought like a couple lines of things with threads. Anyway, total it's like $350.
That's awesome.
For everything I needed.
And that's brand new, huh? Yeah,
that's brand new from Amazon.
For a used one.
Yeah.
Hey, I got some questions about that thing. Does it have to? I'm gonna list you about two or three. One, is it got to be attached to a computer, or can you control it from your phone, or how do you what are you gonna build whenever you do it? Something technical, and something arty. Tell me both of them.
All right. Well,
you can probably
go ahead.
do it. You can probably do it with either your computer or your phone, or just plug a USB stick into it.
Yeah, well, I think this one here, it does have a USB connectivity, but it's got its own little screen, so it's open source, and it's one of the things that's caused these 3D printers to come so down in price so fast. Is using Raspberry and Pi and the Arduino processors and stuff. People have been able to take them and build these CAD/CAM CNC machines, 3D printers, anything with multiple axis control, way cheaper. Hey, if you want one, Tommy, you can get one brand new, unassembled from Amazon for $168.
Yeah,
it's going to be the standard one, but the one I ordered, Brad, and most of them, they come with a little control panel, and you can do general setup, auto leveling, everything on the control panel. It normally has a memory card slot. Because these things are the Arduino and the Raspberry Pi, the point of that was it's all open source. So now, instead of you having to actually sit there and design maybe something specific, you can go to these library websites where people have already built them. It might be engineers or, just some backyard Joe, but you can download those files and print out whatever is available for your format. Same thing with a computer. You can get in there, and there's software for you to set up and draw your points and stuff and build it just how you want it.
So you're going to print out a pocket vagina?
No. Ain't no need to print out one of those. Shoot, I can just go buy one. It's probably got one in here somewhere.
That's probably a print. But now you mentioned that your device is not only a printer but also a laser. What do you mean by that? It cuts stuff? What does that mean? It starts hot or what?
Well, it's got this one here. It's the software already compensates for you adding a laser to it. So it's still got the print head, the regular plastic print head, but it's got a magnet mounted half a watt. It's a half watt laser. that you put on there, and you put it in laser mode, and it knows to offset, blah, 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 blah. But it will etch leather.
You're drawing on stuff. You're burning. You're putting a pattern or writing.
Right. Yeah. It cut cardboard and stuff. Now you can buy a more powerful one that they sell that will actually cut that. That real thin wood, balsa wood, I think it's called. Balsa. Yeah. You can buy that wood, and it actually cut the shapes out using the laser.
Oh, cool.
It's something like you've seen probably the advertisement for like a glow forge, and junk, where you can put something under it and it comes out and it's got this huge engraving on it. It'll do a little bit of that.
I hadn't watched I hadn't watched television since 2010. I'm kind of a Luddite in some respects.
Yeah.
So I have no idea, really.
Well, if you've seen a plotter or a CNC machine or a vinyl cutter. Yeah, it's basically the same thing. It's just you're working with you're working with thermoplastic instead of that.
Yeah, because I'm cutting with the CNC machines I'm using. You're cutting 3 inches, or excuse me, at least a half inch of metal. So you're
right.
You're something different. Something different than what that laser is.
Right. Yeah. Big time different, but the principles are the same.
Yeah.
You're using stepping motors that that know exactly where your tool is and exactly up and down, and so it's precision things using remote sensors, stepping motors, and that kind of thing.
Now, what kind of materials is yours? Is it just going to print plastic, or is it going to be able to do other types of materials? Or what? Tell me what plastic means.
Oh, well, it's like just the thermoplastic. There's like 7 different types. This is just like the couple rolls I bought was just plain old IPA.
You get to pick your color.
Yeah, you can change colors, but it's basically like I say, plastic, like like a waffle bat's made out of thermoplastic.
Yeah.
And it's on a reel.
What's the resolution on that? Does it have something like resolution?
Yeah. It's a 0.4 millimeter.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah. It's got a really good resolution. But Brad, it'll print out. It's all in plastic, but you've got a lot of variety of plastics. They make a metal, like a metallic plastic. It's a plastic that's impregnated with metallic metal. They've got some plastic with wood in it. You got all these different types of thermoplastic that you're able to use the CNC to build these objects, and then you kind of sand them up and it'll look like wood or it'll look like metal or, so it can print with a lot of stuff.
Is it waterproof?
Yeah. It's like anything plastic. It's plastic.
It's plastic.
It's basically anything that you can use, in a blow mold process.
Yeah.
Where they take the little pellets, heat it up, and blow it into a mold. It's the same plastic.
Yeah, I got you.
You're just using a little printer head to print it.
So there won't be little waves. Because the one that I saw a long time ago, I guess it's probably gotten better. You could see where it was not smooth. You could see where each little layer came across. Oh, right. Yeah, the stepping on them is a lot better. The encoder's built into these little stepping motors. The resolution has went way, 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 way up. That's
used to. Right. Yeah, used to you only had like a 256K stepping resolution. See now, you're talking about a 3600 stepping resolution. One click is less than 0.4 millimeters of movement.
That is kind of small, isn't it? So it is getting better, I guess, for sure.
Yeah, and they make them even more precise. Again, this is just kind of a home consumer model. It's an entry level kind of starting model,
Yeah.
They make them that will do it out of resins. It uses a laser and it prints into a puddle of resin. And it raises it and builds it out of this ultraviolet resin thing that you have to take off, clean up, and then cure it under UV light.
Yeah.
But now you're limited by like about 4 colors, like white, black, gray, and clear. The thermoplastic, you've got any color you make plastic.
Cool. Now what's going to be your first object?
Oh, I have no clue. I ain't figured it out yet.
Tommy, you may be right on that. Who knows? You didn't put the idea there now.
It could be boobs. He's going to print out some boobs.
No, it ain't gonna be a pocket vagina or some boobs. It'll probably be like a Darth Vader head or a Mandalorian emblem, or it'd be something that's like, oh, that's cool. But I can go.
Hey, you can print a Starship. You can print
and then I can give it
Starship.
away. Yeah, I guess I'm saying print out whatever I guess pattern I find, and I go.
No, I got it. I've got it. Do Tommy's drawing for his face, man.
Do
what now?
Design
Tommy's Sandy.
Yeah, my idea. My idea.
For what now? Design what now?
Idea. Do the textile. The textile.
You have to send me a drawing or something.
Somebody else's. They stole his idea. We're going to steal somebody else's.
Yeah.
I know. Well, let's go steal this guy's print so Donald can print it out for my idea.
Oh Lord, I don't know. I hate to get off here. We got to do it again, but my God, I don't know any better place where we could end than that. Tommy, what?
I know.
That's pretty good talking with you guys.
Yeah, man. Hey, let's do it again sometime.
Yeah.
Tommy, it was great talking to you. Yeah, believe me, I've got some teeth floating, so I need to get off for a few minutes.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, hey, y'all have a great night. Holler at me later, Brad. Talk to you later, Tommy.
Have a great day. Goodbye.
Bye.